running for president? Let's run through it. But first, John Stuart Mill model, JSM. We have a balanced approach to each topic, to each candidate. John Stuart Mill says, if you only know your side of the argument, then you barely even know that. How can you have a preference? How can you pick one side over the other if you don't even know the other? So we're going to try to look at the candidate today, which is Vivek Ramaswamy, the pros, the cons, the goods, the bad. And we'll see where we come out. Vivek Ramaswamy, born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Yay, Ohio. National junior tennis star, Harvard graduate, successful investor. Sounds like a Infinite Jest character. Vivek, one of the planks of his platform is anti-woke. Seems strange. Usually people have these bigger ideas like woke is going to be a part of your plank. Now he's going to take this and connect it to China. We'll talk about that later in the video. But yes, he is anti-woke. He's very much in favor of free speech. Why is he a defender, a staunch defender of free speech? Because he says without free speech, for everyone, you don't have a democracy. A democracy is a government of all the people. And if some people aren't allowed to speak, aren't allowed to express their views or their opinions, then you don't really have a democracy. You got an oligarchy. You're leaning towards an aristocracy or an authoritative regime, a command economy, a China. And he doesn't want us to become China. He wants us to stay a democracy and value the views of all people, so you got to let them speak. Now, the argument against that is if you allow people to say whatever they want, they can say things that endanger society, and that is true, and there is precedent for that. You can look at the Schenck case and Oliver Wendell Holmes saying you can't shout fire in a crowded movie theater, and people will often bring that up. Yeah, you're going to endanger people by allowing them to say whatever they want. But if you look at the specifics of that case and the context of that case, you know what Holmes was talking about? The guy, Schenck, was protesting World War I, passing out platforms, and he went to jail. And the government said, yeah, we can silence you because you're endangering society. You're harming our war efforts by talking against the war. What? We can't protest wars? That's what they decided. So when you say, yeah, Oliver Wendell Holmes, you're also saying you can't protest wars. I don't know if that's the side you think you really are on. But I get it. Those are the two sides of the coin, and there's going to be trade-offs. If you want to allow pure free speech, you're going to run into some problems. And if you don't allow some people to speak, then you're not really a democracy anymore, and you're going to have some problems there too. Also, he's very much in favor of merit over identity politics. Now, one of the issues that you have with, like, obviously, we want to reward people for being the best and working hard, and people should benefit from that. If you work hard and you study and you do your best, then the society, our system, should work for you, and that's an incentive for everybody to work hard, and we'll make a better society. He's very much against identity politics. Now, that's a bit of a straw man to say that, well, identity politics in its extreme version, where we reward people just based on their race, their creed, their religion, their decisions in life, however they identify. If we are only rewarding people for their identity and ignoring what they're doing, yes, that's a problem. We shouldn't have a government or a system or an economy that solely rewards and only values identity, because if people aren't rewarded for working hard and you're only rewarded for your identity, then you don't work hard. And if people don't work hard, our economy collapses. You're going to have problems, and you get people in positions who are supposed to do very important things that can't do them because the only reason they got that position was because of identity. Now, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Whereas in a more nuanced version, look, we do need to have a society that identifies people that are struggling, people that are disadvantaged, and helps them out. If we completely get rid of identity, then how do we know the people that are struggling? How do we know the people that are disadvantaged, that can't necessarily do everything on their own? So you kind of got to meet in the middle. At the very least, it is a conversation that needs to be had. At the very least, in Vivek's defense, is that, hey, we're going to have to pick a side, or we're going to have to try to find a place in the middle. And maybe we're getting a little too far over towards identity politics, and we need to pull it back a little bit and start rewarding more based on merit again. And we don't want to completely abandon people that are struggling, but maybe we need to come back in this direction, let the pendulum come back. But some might say, like, no, he completely wants to do merit and get rid of affirmative action, which he does. So you got to decide where you're going to be on that. He's also anti-big government. This is a very general, normal talking point for Republicans. They believe that a big government makes it tough for small businesses with regulations. They believe that and taxes, and a big government makes it tough on individuals, regulations and taxes, and on business. And so when you overregulate a business, then that business also has to raise their overhead costs and pass those costs on to individuals. And so you, the consumer, pay for big government regulation through your taxes, and then you pay for big government regulation through higher priced goods, which then ultimately hurts the economy and lowers demand and creates fewer jobs, etc. Now, the argument against that would be if you pull back those regulations, you run into pollution problems, you run into problems of corporations taking advantage of individuals, you run into monopoly problems, etc. And so again, there has to be a balance in between, and it's about more of the pendulum. Are we over-regulating? We need to dial it back. Are we not regulating enough? Do we need to regulate in this sector or that sector? Either way, overall, he's for a smaller government, typical Republican talking point. And then he's also anti-China. He sees them as an authoritative regime, a command economy, our enemy, and they are out to get us, and he doesn't want us to become them. Now, he ties this into baiju, which is a Chinese derogatory term to describe white liberal woke people. And he believes that the Chinese are using the woke movement to destabilize and to delegitimize the American government. You say, what? And you're looking at your screen saying, what is all this crazy stuff? There's a longer extended version of this video where I go deeper into the baiju situation, but here's the brief explanation. The Chinese are encouraging American corporations to be woke. In doing so, they are allowing the American corporations to make a bunch of money in China as long as those corporations are woke. And by woke, we're talking about American corporations that are sending the message to the American people that the American system is unequal. The American government is crooked. We treat people unfairly. We're a bad government. For 400 years, we've been evil and racist and sexist, and it's unequal. And those same corporations, when it comes to China and China's human rights violations, zip it up. Don't say anything. But those corporations have no problem saying that. And then Americans hear that, and they see it in all their TV ads, and they see it in all their sports, and they start to repeat that message. And what happens to a country where the corporations and the people are constantly saying, our institutions are unfair, our institutions are unequal, our government is wrong, our government is bad, this is a terrible country? Destabilizes, delegitimizes, and it won't be long for that government and that nation to last. Eventually, they're going to change leaderships. Eventually, they're going to change their system altogether. And they're going to have to come up with a new system. I wonder what that new system might look like. An authoritative regime, a command economy, capitalism dead, democracy dead. And you say, man, that's crazy. They're not using woke to do this. That's wild talk. That's a little out there. That is his idea. That is him taking the woke, and he wrote a book all about this, explaining how the Chinese are using the woke movement to delegitimize our regime. You're again saying, like, yeah, whatever, man. This is corkboard, crazy Pepe Sylvia. Where is he? Who is this guy? Who is this guy? Now, Vivek would say, the CIA has destabilized enemy governments, enemy regimes the same exact way. They aren't even really enemy regimes. They did it with color revolutions in Eastern Europe. They did it in the Middle East. They've done it in South America. They've done it for the last 60 years. The CIA, the American government, coups, rigged elections. We've been doing this. Is it beyond the pale? Is it really that out there to believe that the Chinese would use our same tricks against us? Is it that crazy? Is it that out there? Now, Vivek has a lot of really good points. He's the whiz kid. He's the nerd. He's got all the experience, although he's the youngest. He knows all the ins and outs. He's done the homework. But guess what, guys? It's kind of a bit of a popularity contest. If you look at our last couple presidents, it doesn't really look like they're doing all the homework. It doesn't seem like they're poring over the books and studying all night. It's just them kind of going up and walking around and talking and trying to say stuff. And even more so now, it's about saying the most brash, bold, radical thing and being out there and getting all that on TV time. And so Vivek, it's like, hey, I got some really smart stuff. People are like, we don't care. Do something funny. Do something exciting. Say something mean. Tweet something. So it might be kind of tough for him to win. So meme it. Explain Vivek Ramaswamy in a meme. We do this with every lesson. Take a fact from this video. Take a fact from anywhere online about Vivek. And if you can turn it into a joke, or if you can put it into a different context, you've got that knowledge, that comprehensive, that bottom level 1, level 2 on Bloom's taxonomy. And now you're applying it. So that's yours. You're going to have that forever. And before long, you're going to be able to take Vivek and that fact and do a little more higher order thinking. We're talking evaluation, analysis, and creation. But it starts by taking it and applying it. What I did is, don't worry about the nukes. It's the wokes. Kind of a wacky idea, but it's a new idea that he is introducing. We're taking the woke thing outside of the internet cultural stuff and saying, wait, maybe there's a little bit more to this. Maybe there's something. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there's nothing more to it. But now we've got this idea that we can talk about and think about. Social Studies Games.us. Go to my website, Tons of activities, lessons, review games, everything you possibly need. A plethora of videos like this one, long ones, short ones. Everything you need to know about American history and government is at socialstudiesgames.us. I really appreciate all the comments. You guys are making me better at this. I love it.